Hey guys, Sorker, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. It's the trial that will shake a nation. If only the nation was actually invited to the Old Bailey to witness proceedings, it is the closed trial of Lord Baroque Van Zeek, supposedly responsible for murdering Inspector Tobias Gregson, which I still can't quite believe, by the way, but you all are adamant that Gregson is dead and I just need to accept what happened, but I'm still on the first stage of grief, okay? I'm still in denial. You guys are all the way on the other end of acceptance. It'll take some time for me to bridge that gap, okay? But in the meantime, let's listen to what these three witnesses have to say. Gossip. Starting things off with, we saw the whole thing from start to finish. We did everything from the moment they went in the building. Oops, I didn't mean to proceed without pressing you, sir. Hold it! When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zeeks? I suppose so. The likes of us don't know the names of the high and mighty. But I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last, that's for sure and certain. Just behind Inspector Gregson? Did they arrive at the same time as each other? No, not at all. The first fella must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard that gunshot. The victim arrived 15 minutes before? Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Am I sure? Doesn't seem likely that I've forgotten a fellow with bright red hair like that, does it? Bright red hair, huh? Well, there was that hairpiece. Yeah, his hair really were red, weren't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks, even. That fiery red mop still burnt on the inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute. You're saying the man was a redhead? Were you listening, chum? Hi, he was a redhead. And he had a big trunk with him as well. But Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Seems likely that the person you saw wasn't in fact Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party. See? Inspector Gregson's not dead. He's alive and well. No. I hate to break it to you, but the witnesses are correct. What? Oh my god. There it is! The photographic print! Just after I admitted I'm still in the denial stage. I guess I have to fast forward to acceptance along with the rest of you. Just have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene. That's Inspector Gregson, alright. God damn it. How could this happen? The death flags were right there. He was going to Paris, damn it. Yes, that's Inspector Gregson, alright. And a red hairpiece. Ugh. Of course. We saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? Yes, we did. Should have referred to your blue book before this. Susato, you'd been better prepared. I still refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. I still refuse to believe he's dead, but sure, let's go with the fact that he didn't wear a hairpiece, huh? So then why on earth would he have been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. Judge, you're being biased. That's the one thing you're not allowed to be. The photograph will be submitted as evidence, please, counsel. The photograph of the victim has been entered into the court record, a photographic print of the victim, Inspector Gregson. In case you were still doubting it, his body appears to be tightly curled up and there's a red hairpiece on his head. And what became of the trunk that the red-headed victim was supposedly carrying? You think about that. In the meantime, I'm gonna review this picture. Nothing immediately stands out, apart from the fact that it is Inspector Gregson. Pool of blood beneath him. Shucks. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. So it just disappeared? What? Do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, do you? You're the one who said you watched everything from start to finish. Okay, your words, not mine. We definitely saw him in the dock going in, though. No question about that. Right. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we all heard a big bang. Less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside, okay. I shall press this. By which presumably you mean the gunshot, and not your firecrackers that coincidentally make the same sound. I saw these little things, don't I? How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? There she goes again. But I've always thought it probably sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? And you say that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant here enter the building?
That's right. It was almost straight away. Bang it went, just like that.
Well, he's the Reaper, isn't he? That's what the French call a fait accompli. When the Reaper's around, people are going in the ground. I mean, that's what he does, isn't it? I think we get the message. Please stop disparaging my clients. Alright, I know there's no jury, but the judge is proven to be very, very malleable. The Reaper couldn't allow the inspector to live after he had discovered his secret hideout. There can be no clear motive for the crime.
Yes. It's certainly an eminently credible motive.
See? Great.
But at that point, you ran inside. Is that correct?
Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what had happened.
Hold it! Really now? So, when Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too?
Well, I'm a bit hampered, see. All the signs are that I can't move very well.
You were away behind, presumably. With that sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand.
What a great burden you bear. Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but is it possible you and I have met before? I'll take that as a yes, Beppo.
I'm not anybody, me. The signs are what make me who I am now. I sign, therefore I am.
So, you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago, then?
I plead the fifth.
I might be mistaken, but I believe his trembling has intensified, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I agree. He's clearly been through a lot. Apparently, I'm the straw that broke the camel's back. He's absolutely quivering.
Turned down King Henry Street, and the Black Widower's arms is just there.
Oh dear. You made him hide behind his sign.
Oh, woe is me. Jeez. Life is full of surprises.
I ran into the room, and there he was. The Reaper, gun in hand, standing over the dead body.
Hold it! So then, you were the first person to arrive on the scene. Is that right?
That I was. Kicked the door open like a professional I did, and yelled out, "What's going off here?" Lord Van Zeeks claims all he heard was a man's scream, though.
And was it dark inside the room?
No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall.
Really?
And there was a fella collapsed on the floor. Just between us. It's the first thing I noticed when I got inside.
Ah, I see. Even though Lord Van Zeeks claims not to have seen any such lights on the wall. Do we believe Van Zeeks or do we believe Gossip here?
Next thing I noticed was somebody standing right beside the body. The accused, Baroque Van Zeeks.
That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself.
I was a little shocked, I won't deny it, but I'm no livid coward, although
apparently you did scream your lungs out, not whatever you said earlier.
I stood my ground and gave that Reaper a cold hard stare myself.
Ooh. Mr. Sandwich, excuse me.
Excuse me.
You got something to say? Whoa, do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? Fill us in, why don't you?
There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am. Just 2 slices with no middle. So I don't know what you could want with me.
I think that maybe you just remembered something? Having heard Mr. Gossip's last statement, I mean.
What I think is, we're all nothings, really. We try to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers.
That's enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich. I mean, he's already got a sandwich board on.
When he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside.
That's it. Oh, you rotten beggar! I told you to keep that a secret! What, you falling on your ass?
He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. That's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Gossip, is this true? Did you scurry off with your tail between your legs?
The floor was dead slippery, that's why. Planted my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck.
What? A pool of blood?
But listen here, even though I was sprawled on the floor, I still kept giving that Reaper a cold hard stare. And don't you forget it.
Let's just go back a little. Did you say you got blood on your hand while you were staring down the Reaper, apparently?
I did. Happens to the best of us at times, doesn't it? So I was scared, so I stepped over. We can keep it just between us, can't we?
Yeah, okay, Mr. Gossip. No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony.
Oh, if I must. The witness will amend his testimony to include the aforementioned details at once.
Kazuma? I can't tell if he's, pleased or not.
Slipped over and got blood on my hand, so I quickly wiped it off on the floor.
Ooh, is this where the photographic print comes into play? Got blood on your hand, quickly wiped it off on the floor. I don't see any handprints on this photo, or any smears, right? Let's go for it.
Objection.
Oh, never mind, we jumped the gun once again. My lord, there are clearly grounds for being suspicious of that last statement.
I'm sorry, counsel, but I fail to see why.
Where's the handprint, my lord? Well, you know, I was just playing devil's advocate.
Yes, you do appear to have something of the devil in you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Says the man merely dishing out penalties. It's not a devilish thing to do, you know. Okay, well, I thought it would be the photograph of print. It's not. Let's just press the statement and see what happens. You wiped your hand on the floor.
Well, no one's blown his hand, eh? Horrible stuff. And they might have thought I'd done it. No ta.
And you didn't think that might be a problem?
Does it really matter if I left a few grubby handprints on the floor? They'll get cleaned up in the end, won't they? Don't make such a fuss. That's the message from all of us.
Uh-oh. What is on your big-ass scroll there, Kazuma?
Is something wrong, Counsel? No, my lord. I didn't remember anything in the report about a bloody handprint on the floor, that's all. Don't come at me with all that. You can't intimidate me.
Perhaps it was a different body. Perhaps it's Mr. Vigil's body. I don't know, but he's gone missing. He's got to turn up sooner or later.
I know what I did. I wiped it off. On the floor. The blood.
I wonder.
Could that be what happened? Mr. Naruhodo?
I don't have all the answers yet, but I think we may have just uncovered a vital clue. Could that be what happened? You were scared after death. Let's go back to this statement since this has to be the one we need to present something towards. Something happened, but what? Ah, would it be the notice board, perhaps? The handprint on the back. Let us present this.
Objection.
Done! So you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that?
Well, what else does you expect me to have done, eh? Doesn't really matter.
Objection.
Oh,
the police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. What exactly is the defense asserting?
Objection.
if you listen, you'll find out. Prosecutor Asogi, fucking let me finish my objection, alright? You can't just object my objection. Shit. Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor.
What are you trying to say?
There was a handprint in blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board. Oh, we're doing this pose, but without the smile, huh?
Oh, yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint in the distinctive color of blood. Which is red. Ah, you're dead right. That's my right hand. I'd know it anywhere.
Cool. Hot actual hero?
The witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor.
Any handprints on the back of the board are irrelevant.
Objection.
Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. It doesn't look like he wiped his hand, though. It looked like he just stamped his hand. There's no, like, smears or anything underneath it. It's like Blue's Clues, but it's Gossip's Clues, and he's got his red handprint on. Just look at the floor plan of the room. The notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim, and in an upright position. Even if it had somehow been toppled and was lying on the floor at the time, it would have been a considerable distance from the body. Okay. Fell over when I came across the body. So I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. So Gregson's body has been moved. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. But there's a very definite contradiction here, for which there must be a reason.
I take it that you've formulated a proper hypothesis, Counsel.
Please, I don't want to hear the word hypothesis again after the previous case.
Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene.
I have, my lord. This discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprint is explained by the board moving, another handprint, false testimony. Let me just have a quick look at the floor plan once again. Okay. Could be the board moving, I suppose. Maybe he brought the board over towards the candles so he could get a better look at what was on. It was getting dark after all. And, maybe the door opening knocked over the board, perhaps? Given the way the door seems to open with the knob on the left side. Okay, let's go with the board moving here. The real contradiction here is the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down.
Good gracious, so it is! If the witness had put his hand against the board, the fingers should be pointing upward.
What? What does that tell us? I'll tell you. It tells one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as I previously suggested, which means that after the incident, it must have been moved. What? Yeah. Take that. You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting. Then tell the court who. What? I don't know that yet. Jeez. One question at a time, Kazuma, but the point is... Yeah, I'll slam my hand too. When you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now be very clear on one point.
And that would be...
the position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord.
So, Counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court.
Of course you do.
At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated?
Over here, my lord.
Take that!
This is the only possible location. Yeah, right there. Not that general area where I pointed to the right.
Immediately adjacent to the doorway?
If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier, he kicked the door down like a professional. He said that when he entered the room, it was dark, and he couldn't see the body.
Bayek!
Oh, I see. If the notice board had been there, here, sorry, the body would have been completely hidden from view, and the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker.
Objection!
But the accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. That's true. Or, in his precise words, just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. I don't know about calling it a scream, but he was talking about me and no mistake. Because it was me that kicked the door open, professionally. If you look again at the floor plan, you can Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. Yeah, thought so.
That can't.
The door struck the notice board, knocking it over and making the victim's body visible.
Good gracious.
My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Ah! Sorry, Kazuma, I've got more experience than you. Now.
Order, order! Counsel, how has this not come to light before now?
After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw it when investigating the room.
Witness, what have you to say for yourself?
What?
Me, my lord.
You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. It goes without saying that you must know something about the position of the notice board.
The witnesses in the stand will testify again. Now, you will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime.
Can't wait to hear about how Venus struck a match on her ass when she walked in just because it was dark.
Stop looking over your glasses at me. I got the message.
Yeah, he's fully contorted. Alright, witness testimony 2, the mystery of the moving board.
I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all.
Already in Allegro?
Don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with somebody second years at the time. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life.
Imagine if Bippo was just the mastermind of everything. Sorry, Mr. Sandwich was the mastermind of everything.
It was the Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot.
So none of you can elaborate further.
Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened.
Shouldn't have put them on the stand then, Kazuma. Rookie.
That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think.
Do you? Really?
In any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Baroque Van Zieks. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact.
Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witnesses despite the circumstances?
Judge, of course. I'm always going to, exercise my right to do whatever is necessary to get the truth. Most certainly, my lord.
Very well. Then you may proceed, counsel.
Okay. The Allegro testimony. So soon. The mystery of the moving board, let's go. You don't know anything about the notice board, you just wiped your hand on it. So you admit that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on.
Admit it? What's to admit? It's there plain as day for all to see. A smashing print in my right hand.
Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint. So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you?
No. Imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man?
Well, did you see anybody else moving the board?
I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you. But even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it.
Yeah, you did fall on your ass and scream.
And there was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definitive testimony at this point. Well, on that point, sorry.
Yes, so what was seen?
Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time.
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks?
Yeah, what else? There's the Prairie School just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to Kingdom Come. So I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see?
Wow. Well, I was about to say, what a racket. You stole the words right out from my mouth, Ryunosuke.
Of course. And sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank them for letting me know. To thank me for letting me know, sorry. It's a busy old life selling explosives. I mean, firecrackers.
Venus is a guileful goddess indeed.
Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it.
Bippo, God, you're on fire today. Almost. If not for the fact that you were shivering constantly.
Excuse me.
Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich. It's like you don't want to be here.
If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it?
No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts.
Hmm? She makes you think philosophical thoughts, huh?
Let's say there was a great liar. And that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too? Or the truth? In which case she's not a liar.
Right?
Ooh, it's a hellish paradox, that one. Don't you think?
True. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But, it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying, are you? Is that what you got out of that, Ryunosuke?
What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set 'em off. That'll give you something to tremble about.
You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady. Oh, I can't imagine anyone else will ever have such an appearance, like 100 years from now, and they'll be called April May.
So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich? God, this guy. Rock the boat more, why don't you? I think you're gonna get kicked off your street.
Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Old Blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshot seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there.
Heh.
Wow. Way to throw her under the omnibus there.
Do you mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all?
What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I?
Right. Are you lying about this? Yes, you mentioned it.
Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it?
Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch?
So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief.
Well, now you come to mention it, I suppose perhaps. I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah.
Either you clearly remember it or you don't. You don't sort of remember it.
Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act. Perjurious act later? For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth.
If she's getting perjury, like, what about everyone else that's blatantly lied on the stand?
Oh yes, my lord, of course. Maybe I did sneak along behind gossip and have a little peek into the room where it all happened.
Okay. I feel like I'm missing something here. I can't just present something right now. Have I examined this? I feel like I have. Right? Was there anything to examine? There is.
if you had an idea, Mr. Naruhodo. You're staying at the end of the string of fireworks.
Sorry, it's just that it's the Venus special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like.
Shall we find out?
What? But she said it could blow up the courtroom. Wow, we literally just let it go off during a cross-examination. Alright, that was a fairly sizable bang.
My ears are still ringing, Mr. Naruhodo. It sounded almost exactly like
a gunshot. Goes off like a gunshot. Well, nice to know that we examined it and updated it before we proceeded. Okay, I think it's still too early to present anything, so let's press this statement first. You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus?
Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I'd take everything I say with a big pinch of salt.
Alright. But you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you?
Oh please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying.
The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know.
Did you touch anything at the scene?
Oh please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor.
I feel like that's your lying tell, starting whatever sentence with that. The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I had a look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I didn't get the place I once over, but it was nothing to write home about.
You looted his place. Right. Now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you?
Oh please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had.
The truth, please.
Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flippin' thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing.
You're telling us that you did move that board?
I think that did slip out, didn't it?
Oh my god. What? You daft bombpot? How could you just... Oh my god.
I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think.
So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? To sell?
Oh please, I should be so lucky in my imagination.
The truth, now!
I might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much, if you ask.
Whoa.
Ginny. So it was you, was it? You're the one what took it.
Gina? Young lady, may I remind you where you are?
That watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case we solved 10 years ago. The Professor case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without veil when he was waiting for his grub to come to the pub.
I see.
I swiped it off him once and blimey, he was upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him. That watch did.
Possibly not the best thing to go diving for, then.
It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez's that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it. Ah! I knew I should have lifted it!
Oh god. This is a very busy witness stand. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once.
Oh please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done.
It's not even worth much.
Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again.
That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children. Watch your manners. I believe we're still in testimony mode, though, aren't we? Good lord. The glass appears to be broken. More than likely it shattered when the inspector was shot.
Doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh?
Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. I suppose this is when he got shot, huh?
exactly when the gunshot was heard then. Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Gregson's pocket watch has been entered in the court record. Inspector Gregson's pocket watch that he wound without fail every single day. It's no longer ticking, and the glass over the face is cracked.
Well, it would appear that the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved at least.
It has, and there's our Allegro tune once again. We've got a lot in our court record, don't we? We've got 3 pages worth. Let's take a look. The glass over the face really is badly cracked. Look, he died at exactly 5?
What a shame when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully.
I imagine Mr. Shums could repair it, don't you?
Yes, I should think so.
He's very adept at things like this. Useful man to have around, in fact.
But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Naruhodo, not an odd job man.
Well, if he wants some extra rent money, he's gonna have to play along. Is that it? Anything else? What's up here? There's a tiny little stub sticking out from this small hole here, look.
I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time.
In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it?
Yes, of course.
Which could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. This could have been manually, like, altered, right? Interesting. Okay. Oh, what's at the bottom? There's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? I think I know what fits there.
Oh yes, that's probably for the winder used to wind up the mechanism.
Looks a little unusual, don't you think?
Yes, you'd need just the right key to wind it, I imagine.
If only I could combine evidences. Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like a key. It's about the right size to fit in this hole.
It would be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found.
Okay. So how is this going to work? Do I need to go back to the doll? Oh, well, it looks like it's been updated.
The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear.
I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled, almost as if somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Shall we try twisting it around and around too for fun? What's that?
It appears to be some sort of key.
But it's tiny though. Couldn't be a key for a door. Not that size. So what is it for, I wonder? Alright, well that was all the same. Miss Susato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch?
Oh, yes it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose.
Here it goes. Aha.
I knew it. A perfect fit. And look, the inspector's watch started going again.
So it's obviously just not been wound up, that's all. What is it, Miss Susato?
Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all,
then he didn't die at 5 o'clock exactly.
I have a feeling it could have profound implications.
She's deep in thought now. Perhaps I'd better start thinking deeply too. Details of Gregson's pocket watch have been updated. Having wound it up, it started ticking again. Okay. Brilliant. It was a nice little distraction there.
And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case.
Ugh. I have to pretend that I'm frustrated even though I've just made some decent headway.
Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Okay, anything that talks about exactly when he died? He still died when we heard the gunshot. Do I just present it right there? Or do I need to maybe press it for updated information? Let's press this. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it?
Maybe the notice board fell over. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over. Or maybe I didn't. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of that gunshot we all heard. So your fate's sealed too.
My fate?
That's right. The defense is fated to lose. And the prosecution to win.
In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot.
So if I could just find some problem with that part of their story. Maybe possible to change all our fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard. Does it?
Okay, well, I guess we're just presenting right on that particular testimony. Not much to go on.
As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it.
Well, we already established that, but it did happen after the event, so maybe Kazuma's right and it's not relevant to the case.
But it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view, so I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I've no doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So follow your instincts.
Alright then. I'll follow my instincts and present the pocket watch with this updated details right here, right now. Let's do this.
Objection.
Okay, good. I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case.
Oh?
At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch.
A key?
And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built.
What?
I mean, we didn't have the pocket watch until seconds ago.
Order! 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 But Counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot.
It is. Exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection.
You don't believe in coincidences, do you, Kazuma? Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was committed.
Objection.
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago.
The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did.
The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day, in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well.
Yes, that would be entirely reasonable.
But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day.
Oh, hi. Well, how do you explain it then?
In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch.
You can't mean...
What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. When? When did this happen? And who walked in with the red hair?
Order! Order! Counsel, this is the most extraordinary claim!
Objection.
Extraordinary isn't the word. It's absurd.
You claim he was already dead the night before.
Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? Well, they have a history of doing so.
On that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission on the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted. That's right.
Wait a minute. You're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in. What do you mean?
Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty, great puddle of blood.
Yes. So the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh.
He catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection.
Well, I've got an answer for that, but that blood could be explained in any number of ways. Could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after...
Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner?
I'm your learned friend now?
Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course.
Of course.
We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities.
So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example.
It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Huh.
Objection!
And that would explain the other candles just melting down completely because no one extinguished them for a whole day.
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question.
Is it, though?
What?
Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all.
Oh, please. What are you trying to say?
As Lot know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from that there room.
Now you listen to me. A street seller's ears are his livelihood.
I don't doubt your ears, sir, but I do doubt your body to regulate its temperature. But all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise. Eh?
Explain yourself then, counsel.
A noise that sounds like a gunshot. Could have been made with... Lucky I examined it. I mean, I can imagine presenting it and then not getting the results I need.
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot.
Good gracious! The very fireworks that are sold by the witness!
Now hold on a minute. Who's saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See?
Not 100 of them together. The meanest special that you sell for 600 pennies or sounds like this. Whoa. That does sound like a gunshot. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact.
You're trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene.
I'm suggesting that I know. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm confident that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear.
Objection!
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Baroque Van Zeeks.
Did the bang have to come from inside the room? Could have happened in the hallway.
One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See? That's why people like him.
I fear for your fingers, young lady, and your curvaceous rear.
Objection!
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a time bomb.
Good heavens, a bomb!
Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like.
Mr. Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international instance.
Yeah, you should have taken this one with your blue book. No, wait. It's the whenever you like part that's important.
A timed device.
Yes, exactly. A timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left.
Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a timed device was employed to create the gunshot sound?
Okay, timed device. Timed device. Are we using his watch? When it stops ticking, the firecracker goes off.
Take that!
You're suggesting this could have been used as some sort of time delay device?
I did think so, my lord, but it's becoming increasingly clear that we've all been very misguided here.
Objection!
Yes, by you.
What?
No, counsel, the time has come for a penalty. Without delay.
Ugh. No time to clear the area before the blast. Okay, I was gonna say. Proof that a time device was employed to create the gunshot sound.